Classic Hollywood sold a dream of perfect romances and flawless stars, but behind the studio-controlled image, many idols lived double lives. Strict morality clauses and brutal contracts forced some of the biggest names in history to hide who they loved. Tonight, we explore 25 Hollywood idols whose same-sex relationships were rumored, whispered, or later revealed by biographers. Rock Hudson, the studio's best-kept secret. Rock Hudson was one of classic Hollywood's biggest leading men, famous for his rugged charm and romantic roles opposite top actresses. On screen, he embodied the ideal heterosexual heartthrob, but off-screen, Hudson was a gay man living under intense pressure from the studio system. During the 1950s and 1960s, being openly gay could instantly end a career, so studios carefully controlled his public image. He was even pushed into a brief, highly publicized marriage to his agent's secretary, a common Hollywood tactic designed to silence rumors. Friends and insiders later revealed that Hudson lived a double life, hiding his true identity while becoming one of the highest-paid actors of his era. In the 1980s, Hudson publicly acknowledged his sexuality after being diagnosed with AIDS, becoming one of the first major stars to do so. His revelation shocked the world and helped humanize the AIDS crisis, permanently changing Hollywood's conversation around sexuality and secrecy. Montgomery Clift, a life lived in silence. Montgomery Clift was celebrated for his sensitive performances and striking good looks, quickly becoming one of Hollywood's most respected actors of the 1940s and 1950s. Unlike many of his peers, Clift rejected the flashy lifestyle, choosing privacy over publicity. Behind the scenes, however, friends and biographers have long suggested that his romantic life included relationships with men, an open secret carefully ignored by the studios. Hollywood's strict morality clauses forced Clift to suppress his true self, contributing to his inner turmoil. After a devastating car accident in 1956, his career and personal life began to unravel, deepening his struggles with addiction and depression. Those close to him later described a man torn between artistic brilliance and painful secrecy. Today, Clift is remembered not only for his groundbreaking acting style but also as a symbol of the emotional cost many classic Hollywood stars paid for hiding their identities in an unforgiving industry. Cary Grant, Hollywood's most elegant mystery. Cary Grant was the definition of sophistication, known for his effortless charm, impeccable style, and romantic leading man roles. To audiences, he appeared to live a perfect life filled with glamorous marriages and box office success. Yet behind the polished image, Grant's private life has remained one of Hollywood's most debated mysteries. Much of the speculation centers on his long-term living arrangement and close bond with actor Randolph Scott. For years, the two shared a home, which studios carefully portrayed as nothing more than a practical bachelor setup. Biographers later suggested that their relationship may have been far deeper than publicity allowed. Grant himself never publicly addressed the rumors, maintaining strict privacy throughout his life. In an era when even whispers could destroy a career, silence was often the safest option. Today, Grant's story reflects how classic Hollywood blurred the line between truth and image, leaving behind questions that may never be fully answered. Greta Garbo, the woman who loved in shadows. Greta Garbo was one of classic Hollywood's most enigmatic stars, famous not only for her beauty but for her fierce devotion to privacy. At the height of her fame, she famously withdrew from the public eye, refusing interviews and avoiding Hollywood society. Over the years, historians and biographers have pointed to her deeply emotional relationships with women as a significant part of her hidden life. Letters and personal writing suggest intense bonds that went far beyond friendship, though Garbo never publicly labeled her sexuality. In an era dominated by strict moral codes and studio control, such discretion was essential for survival. Garbo's refusal to conform, both on screen and off, only deepened the mystery surrounding her. Today, she is often viewed as a symbol of quiet defiance, a star who chose solitude over compromise. Her story continues to spark discussion about identity, secrecy, and the freedom denied to many Hollywood icons. Marlene Dietrich, Hollywood's quiet rebel. Marlene Dietrich was unlike any other star of her era, bold, fearless, and unapologetically unconventional. On screen, she challenged gender norms with her androgynous style and magnetic presence. Off-screen, Dietrich's private life was just as complex. Biographers and close friends later revealed that she maintained romantic relationships with both men and women, making her one of classic Hollywood's most quietly defiant figures. Unlike many stars forced into total secrecy, Dietrich navigated her personal life with remarkable discretion, protected by her immense fame and international status. Studios often looked the other way, knowing her star power was too valuable to lose. Though she never publicly discussed her sexuality in detail, her actions spoke louder than words. Today, Dietrich is remembered not only as a cinematic icon but as a pioneer who subtly pushed back against Hollywood's rigid expectations, proving that individuality could survive, even in an era built on control and illusion. James Dean, a rebel with hidden depths. James Dean became a cultural icon almost overnight, symbolizing youthful rebellion, vulnerability, and raw emotion. His on-screen performances felt deeply personal, as if he were drawing from inner conflicts few could fully understand. Off-screen, friends and insiders later suggested that Dean's romantic life was far more fluid than the rigid labels of his time allowed. Biographers have written about his close relationships with both men and women, describing a young actor still exploring his identity in a judgmental industry. During the 1950s, such complexity had to remain private, as Hollywood studios carefully shaped public images to avoid scandal. Dean never lived long enough to clarify or define his personal life on his own terms. His tragic death at just 24 froze him in time as an eternal symbol of misunderstood youth. Today, James Dean represents not only rebellion on screen, but the silent struggles many stars endured behind Hollywood's carefully constructed myths. Katherine Hepburn, independence at a cost. Katherine Hepburn stood apart from other Hollywood actresses, known for her sharp wit, fierce independence, and refusal to conform to traditional female roles. While studios tried to market her as a conventional romantic lead, Hepburn consistently resisted being defined by public expectations. Over the years, biographers have questioned the carefully crafted image surrounding her private life. Her close, long-lasting relationships with women, along with her rejection of Hollywood's usual publicity romances, fueled quiet speculation that the studios worked hard to suppress. Hepburn herself never offered clear answers, choosing privacy over explanation. In an era when a woman's career could be destroyed by rumors alone, silence was often the only protection. Despite constant scrutiny, she maintained control over her life and career, becoming one of the most respected actresses in film history. Today, Hepburn is remembered as a trailblazer whose strength lay not just in her performances, but in her refusal to live by Hollywood's restrictive rules. Tallulah Bankhead, Hollywood's open secret. Tallulah Bankhead was one of classic Hollywood's most fearless and flamboyant personalities, known for her sharp tongue, smoky voice, and scandalous reputation. Unlike many stars who lived in constant fear of exposure, Bankhead showed little concern for Hollywood's moral expectations. In theater circles and private Hollywood gatherings, her relationships with women were widely known and rarely denied. While studios tried to downplay her personal life, Bankhead's bold attitude made her difficult to control. She openly flirted, challenged authority, and lived by her own rules at a time when such behavior could destroy a career. Her fame, combined with her unapologetic confidence, offered a rare shield against total censorship. Although she never made formal public declarations, her actions spoke clearly. Today, Tallulah Bankhead is remembered as a symbol of rebellion, an actress who refused to hide completely and proved that even in Hollywood's most restrictive era, some stars dared to live authentically. Randolph Scott, the Bachelor image. Randolph Scott built his Hollywood career playing strong, honorable men, especially in classic Western films that defined American masculinity. To the public, he appeared as the ideal lifelong bachelor, carefully maintaining a wholesome and private image. Behind the scenes, however, historians and biographers have long focused on his close personal relationship with Cary Grant. The two actors shared a home for many years, and their bond became one of Hollywood's most discussed yet carefully managed arrangements. Studios and publicity teams framed their living situation as a practical choice between two successful bachelors, avoiding any suggestion of scandal. Scott himself never publicly addressed the rumors, choosing silence as protection in a time when careers could be destroyed by suspicion alone. After retiring from acting, he lived a quiet life away from Hollywood spotlight. Today, Randolph Scott's story reflects how the studio system reshaped personal lives, turning intimacy into carefully staged public narratives.